And then thank you very much. Everybody incoming. Hello, everybody. Happy Monday. Happy New Year. If I haven't said it already, I think we can still say that, can't we? We're just still early days. Welcome to the first Shelf Help Club author interview of 2026. And I'm delighted to have Hal Elrod back with us in the Zoom room. Hal, as I'm sure you all know, is the creator and the author of The Miracle Morning, and many other books, but including The Miracle Equation, which I've chosen for our Shelf Help Book Club pick for January and February 26, because this time last year, I interviewed Hal about The Miracle Morning, and he promised that he'd come back and talk to us if we chose it. Hal, I'm so happy to have you here. Thank you for being here, for spending your time with us.
Tony, it's such a pleasure. I'm so grateful that you not only had me once for the Miracle Morning, but that y'all decided to read the Miracle Equation and have me back. That is truly an honor.
Well, our read along starts today. This is like the kickoff event. So it's brilliant to have you here to introduce us to the book and the process.
I love
So
it.
we're going to be online around 40 minutes tonight, everybody, with Hal. And we'd love to answer as many of your goal setting questions as possible, which is what we're going to be talking about tonight and for the next 2 months in the club. So share those in chat. Audience, your mics are off, but your cameras can be on if you want to give us a wave, and our special guest a little wave as you arrive. And the chat box is open, so let us know. Who are you? Where are you? And if you have started setting goals already for 26, let us know, because it'd be good to know. Um, Before we start, a reminder, the Shelf Help Club is the world's first dedicated self-help book club, and we are all about celebrating this kind of self-development and reading as well-being. I'll just talk to you a little bit about tonight's guest for anybody who doesn't know about Hal already. Hal Elrod, father of two, is on a mission to elevate the consciousness of humanity, one morning and one person at a time. He has survived several near-death experiences. Um, and each time which we'll talk about probably those as we go on, and each time he's decided to turn these adversities into positive perspectives and practices that now into books, into courses, into an app, which we'll talk about, help millions of people to change their lives for the better, including, I know, lots of people on this call, because we are huge Miracle Morning fans. So I'm really excited to then share this, which is kind of a follow on. We'll talk about that, I
Yeah.
suppose. But yeah, Hal, welcome. Thank you so much.
Yeah, Tony, let's go.
How was 2025 for you? Let's start there.
It was actually one of the most challenging years of my life. I had some, how do I even say it? Some legal stuff, and there were some things that were felt unfair. And if you're someone who really values fairness and you feel like someone is coming after you, in the spirit of like entitlement. So anyway, it was a challenging year, and of course, so many blessings. My family, I'm healthy. My wife, my kids were healthy. So yeah, lots of beautiful things. And I really do look at adversity as an opportunity to learn and grow and evolve and become better. So I actually kept representing me and my team to like, hey, this is really challenging for us. But I really believe there's a better version of not only us as individuals, but as a team on the other side of this. And everybody watching this can apply that to your life and challenges that you have faced or are facing or will face in the future.
Do you give yourself a moment of like, this sucks?
Oh yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think that's important to, when I was younger, I was very like positive, like delusionally positive. Like I'm not allowed to have any negative words or thoughts come out, and I'm like, this is bullshit, like, so now, yeah, I absolutely, I really believe now in experiencing the full range of human emotions, but doing so from a place of, you mentioned, my mission is elevating consciousness. So it's like, if your consciousness is low, then you're like, oh my God, everything's happening that's bad. And I can't handle all this, versus rising above it and being like, oh, I'm feeling anger. Interesting. I'm at peace. Like it's being at peace with all of the things and doing it where you're observing the challenges and the emotions from this place of like, nothing can touch me, nothing can affect me. And I allow myself to experience things in a really conscious, intentional way.
Yeah. And do you think a little bit of that is age and kind of getting wiser as we get older as well? Because I mean, you've been through some, I would say, some serious shit. So,
Yeah, I don't know, because I mean, for sure that maybe is part of it, but
yeah.
I think it's a case by case basis, because there's a lot of people in their 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, and 80s that sadly aren't highly conscious, and right, like, so it's not just an age thing. I really think it's an evolution, it's a development, right? If you dedicate time to your personal development, as everybody here does, right, you are elevating your consciousness. You're becoming more aware of perspectives and practices and things that you can actually show up to your life in a more effective way. Whereas if someone just watches the news all day and they're not expanding their mind, then they don't have those same abilities and those same options because they're not aware of them.
Sure. So a lot of it is about that choice, isn't it? Choosing to learn and grow and make a different choice in the moment as well.
Totally.
Yeah. And what about 2026 then? Can we talk about what your goals might be for that?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, this year, I really went into this year uh, g- with this mindset of like, I'm going to reinvent myself. I'm going to be more aware of patterns that have become my norm and how they affect me and other people. So my wife was she's always my number one starting place. And it was interesting on January 1st, we had some major conflict and I my normal pattern is like I'm a conflict avoider. I like harmony. And so I avoid conflict. And we had our conflict and she walked away and my normal would be like whatever, I'll give her space, which is really just my selfish like I'm saying I'm giving her space, but it's I don't want to deal with it. So I'm going to leave. And I went, she needs to feel loved and cherished. And like, there's no conflict that's too big where I'm going to walk away. So I went and I pursued her. And anyway, it was really profound where I'm like, wow, it was me pausing before I did what I would normally do and asked, what is the moment, in that case, my wife, but what does the moment need? What does this challenge need? How would the best version of myself show up in the midst of this, right? Not the way I usually show up. So that's been profound. So I'm actually really excited about this year and really from the inside out where I have goals. I've got business goals, making this my best financial year ever after coming off a really difficult year. But it all goes back to the inside out, which is like, how do I show up as the version of myself that can, with more courage and more confidence and more love and more empathy. And it's really this inside out game that I'm playing this year. And that word reinvention is really, really top of mind for me.
Yeah, I love that. Is that your word for the year then? Because we've been doing a little exercise. We're calling it, instead of the sprint into 26, we're calling it the stroll. We're kind of taking our time and kind of
I love that.
reflecting and then kind of still with purpose, but like with a bit with ease. But today's challenge actually was I think yesterday's challenge, sorry, was to think of the word that encapsulates kind of what you want the year to look and feel like.
Yes. Yes. That is my word. Reinvention is my word.
Right. And how would you describe yourself, like your relationship with yourself currently?
It's really healthy. I used to be very focused on spirituality. When I was in my early 20s, I started studying enlightenment and, Eckhart Tolle and Buddhism. And, I grew up, Catholic and Christian, and I wanted to expand like what are all these different ways of looking at God? There's like 3,000 religions, first of all. So, I want to know what else is out there. I don't want to think that, well, the way that I was raised is I just happened to get in the right one. So I really started diving into spirituality. And so probably a year or so ago, I really felt called. I really felt, man, my spirituality, I haven't spent time kind of going back to the development. I'm not reading books on spirituality like I used to. I'm not spending time in meditation. So, for example, in December, I spent 30 minutes a day. Normally, I meditate for 5 or 10 minutes. It's like a little teeny quick hit as I fit it into my miracle morning. And in December, I went, I'm going to spend 30 minutes a day with God for the next 30 days. And for me, that simply means 30 minutes praying, meditating primarily, and really going deeper. And so that's my definition right now is I'm more in touch with the how do I even say it, the my soul. Like I'm merging with my soul, and every day that's my goal is how do I get in touch with the essence of who I am at the deepest, highest, most authentic and connected level.
I love that answer so much, especially because it leads into my next question, which is like we were talking about soulful goal setting in the club.
Mm.
That's kind of our theme. So
Yeah.
obviously we, like you said, you have business goals and you might have, like, people might have targets to hit, whether that's weight or money or whatever. But I think the idea of coming from a soulful place and setting
Yeah.
goals around how you want to feel and how and the internal work, like you say, the inner work is so important.
Yeah.
Do you have any advice before we go into the actual equation and the process for how to kind of get get to that level of soulful goal setting and to get to to understand your values more, maybe, as a place to start?
Yeah, my friend Kyle Cease, who I happen to have his book right here, y'all should honestly add this to the book club. This is my favorite book that I read in 2025. It's called The Illusion of Money. And it's
Hmm.
really a spiritual book disguised as a self-help book, as a money book. Again, the author is Kyle Cease. So in this book, he talks about rather than goal setting, which are these external things. I want to lose weight. I want to achieve this. I want to, it's all these external goals. He talks about your inner intentions. And he says,
Hmm.
your inner intention is, I want to experience more freedom. I want to experience more love. I want to be more, right? It's all about what you're experiencing. In fact, my next book that I'm thinking about writing is called The Miracle Within. And it's really inspired by this. It's like you can only control what's going on inside of you, within you, right? How do you access that best version? So, in terms of soulful goals, one of my favorite ways to check in with yourself is simply when you think of a goal, or and you can use this with another person, or if you get invited, like how often do we get invited to go out somewhere, go to dinner or a thing, and we say yes right off the bat, whether it's fear of missing out or the people pleaser in us. But then when the night comes, you're like, oh,
Yeah.
why did I say yes to this? I don't want to do this. So now, to before you make any decision, hand to the heart, right? And just close your eyes and just feel into that goal or that commitment or that thing that you got invited to, and just do I is my soul, is this calling my soul, is this something that I feel like it's a heck yes? And if it's not,
Mm.
then I think from there you don't just dismiss it, you examine, no, it's not, why not? And maybe sometimes it might be enough to just go, you know what? I got invited to the dinner. I almost said, in fact, this happened to me literally this week. I said yes immediately because I wanted to people please. And I thought, I don't want to miss out. And there's some important people I want to network with. And then when I sat with it, I go, I don't want to go. Like
Mm.
and I imagined the night arriving. I'm like, I'm going to wish I was staying home with my kids and spending time with them. And
Mm.
so I had already RSVP'd yes. I RSVP'd no. And I sent a private message, actually a voice text, so she could hear my heart. And I just let her know. I was just honest. I'm like, hey, I RSVP'd right away, blah, blah, blah. I wanted to spend time with you. But after further thought, I want to be with my kids that night. And so I'm sorry to have to cancel, but I hope somebody else can fill the spot. But that's it. It's really
Mm.
getting in touch with like your heart and your soul and feeling like you're saying yes to the things that really align.
Yeah, totally. And I think that's why a word of the year or something like that is good, isn't it? It's a kind of like something to keep coming back to, because then you
Yeah.
can really, yeah, feel into it.
Yeah. And then
Um,
reinvention, I can use my word in
yeah,
that context. It's like, why am I saying yes to this? Because
yeah.
I want to please people, because I have fear of missing out. If I were to reinvent myself, what would that version of me that didn't have those issues that I've had my whole life, what would that version do? And then
Mm,
you're like, I'm going to do that. I'm going to do the reinvented version. Right.
yeah.
And it's like, oh, that feels really good. And at first it might be scary. In fact, it is. It's like, oh, wait, but I'm disappointing this person. And I, you know what I mean? Like, and what if I miss out? But it's like, so at first it's scary, but I think the more you do it, you're like, you feel liberated. You're like, wow, I'm living in alignment with my heart's desire, with my soul. That feels way better.
Totally. And it's that relief, isn't it? And then you probably won't think about this dinner again, will you? Like
Yeah. Yeah.
in a
Totally.
month's time, you won't, it will be gone.
Yeah.
Um, do you think when we're setting goals, it's important to just to work with one main goal?
Mm. Yeah,
Or
in the book, in the Miracle Equation, I call that your mission, and I talk about it in a real life story, which is in 2005. I had a goal to double my income. It was my 6th year and final year with a company, the Cutco company, kitchen knives, and I had already done really well. And I was like, I want to double my best year ever. This is like so scary. And but it had been done by a few people had done that level of success in sales. And so I was like, I want to do it because it will stretch me, not because I wanted the goal. It was actually, I wanted the inner transformation because it was my last year with the company. And I go, if I leave never having given it everything I had, I'm going to always wonder what I could have done. Right. So I'm like, I've got to give it everything I have this final year and have this unimaginable, achievement. But it's, again, for what it will do for my growth as a human being. And so that was my mission for the year. I thought nothing else matters to me. If I hit this one goal, that's the most important. But I didn't leave it at that. I set like 7 other goals, right? And they were big. One was to write my first book while I had my best year in sales. One was to launch my speaking career and do my first paid engagement that year. One was to start a coaching business. They were big goals, but only my mission was the non-negotiable. The others were important. And only once I did my phone calls for the day to work toward the mission, then I could work on the book and the this and the that. And here's the crazy part. I achieved every single goal that I set, including getting in the best shape of my life. I put on 20 pounds of muscle and I was like 7% body fat. It was on top of everything else. And here's my belief, and this is what I share in the book. If you put equal weight to all of your goals. Okay, this one's important and this one's I've got 8 areas of my life and 8 goals. Then what happens is you just gravitate toward whatever you feel like for the day, and you're not concentrating your effort, and you end up usually missing all of the goals. You make a little progress on some, maybe all, you don't hit them. When you have a mission, number one, you decide what's the most important goal if you had to pick one for you this year. And that mission it forces you to focus and prioritize. And what happens is you then become a focused person. You become a person who understands how to prioritize and to discipline yourself to do the things that matter most. And then that spills over into your other goals. But it's only because you've clarified your mission for the year.
Yeah. And you talk about that a lot, don't you? A lot of it's about the person you become as you're reaching for that goal. Yeah. So yes to one major goal. And is it important that the goal is scary to you? Like you just talked about, the numbers you were talking about were huge.
Yeah. It doesn't need to be scary as much as it needs to be meaningful. Thank you, sweetheart. Me and my wife just started a juice fast today, and she brought me my sludge for the day.
You're definitely friends again.
What did you say?
You're definitely friends again then.
Yeah, we got back. Yeah, it was actually, and it was amazing, by the way, not to go into that, but it was a breakdown for a breakthrough, it was really, really profound. And it was because I didn't leave. I did the hard thing, right? But anyway, what was your question again?
I can't remember now. Guys, are you paying attention? Oh no, I was talking about do goals have to be huge and scary?
Oh yeah. No, they have to be meaningful. And it could be, I'll give you an example. When I went through cancer and I almost died. I had a very, very fatal cancer. It was a 20 to 30% survival rate. And I was 37 years old at the time, and my daughter was 7 and my son was 4. And what I realized when I got cancer, if you had asked me before I got cancer, what's your number one priority in your life? I would have said my family. Hands down, nothing means more. If you would have said, can I see your schedule? I just want to make sure that you're aligning your time with what you say matters most. I'd go, oh, no. But you don't understand. I've got some big projects right now, and I've got a book coming out and blah, blah, right? It's like, it's one thing to say it matters most, and it might in your heart and in your head. But if you're not living in alignment with what matters most, like if your schedule doesn't show it, then it doesn't actually matter most. It's just lip service. It's not true. Like my kids, they don't feel it just because I think it, right? Like I got to live in alignment. So one of my commitments was, I came off of cancer and I went, number one, I'm going to bookend my days with my children, meaning I'm going to start every morning by waking them up in the morning. And then I did a puppet show every morning. So every morning I started doing this puppet show to wake them up. It only took like 10 minutes, right? It was literally 10 minutes. I would go in, I would start by massaging both of them. They used to sleep in the same bed. And I would go, hey, good morning. Dad loves you. You're amazing children. You're miracles. I would just like say these affirmations, right? And again, it just took a few minutes and wake them up slowly. And then I would get these little puppets. I go, hey, good morning. Da, 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 and they would start laughing and I would tickle them. So it was this beautiful, pleasant way to wake up for them. We connected, right? And it took me like 10 minutes. And then at night, I would read them stories every night. Before I did that, and before cancer, my wife woke him up in the morning while I was doing my miracle morning and working. She woke him up. She got him ready for school. She did everything. I'm like, divide and conquer, sweetheart, right? But dividing and conquer doesn't develop a relationship with my kids. So that's an example of that was maybe 20 minutes, 30 minutes a day, bookending the day with my children. And that would be maybe the most meaningful goal I could have set in my life that year. And it took a half an hour and it wasn't scary at all.
So it's setting that intention, isn't it? And then that will dictate your schedule, like you say, in your time.
Yeah.
Brilliant. How old are your kids now?
Oh my gosh. My daughter just turned 16. She has her license. She's driving herself around. And my son is 13. So I got two teenagers now.
Amazing. And then no puppet shows anymore.
Yeah, no. Yeah, I know. It was around 11 or 12. My daughter goes, Dad, I don't really want you to lay with me anymore at night. It's okay. You don't have to. I'm like, that's for me more than it is for you.
She's like, I'm graduated.
I'm over it, Dad.
Yeah.
Thanks, though. It was fun while it lasted. I'm like,
yeah.
Okay.
Okay, let's talk about the book then.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the equation and the book, the miracle equation. It's two parts. So pretty simple.
Yeah. So the miracle equation it's the two decisions that move your biggest goals from impossible to inevitable. And this, I'm going to just tell a quick story because how this came about. I was trying to break a Cutco record, do something that no one in Cutco again is the company that makes kitchen knives. They're made in the USA. So I don't know if you have them over in, do you guys have you heard of Cutco?
I haven't. No, only in your book.
So, but they've been around for 50 years. And so I was trying to sell $20,000 of Cutco knives in 10 days, which had never been done before. And I was really scared. And I remembered something that I heard from a mentor of mine. Jim Rohn said, the purpose of a goal is not to hit the goal. It's who it makes of you in the process by giving it everything you have to try to achieve the goal, right? Even if you fall short, if you gave it everything you had, then you developed discipline, you developed confidence, you developed consistency, and then you get to apply those attributes to the next goal. Again, it's all about the inner transformation. And so I went, okay, I'm going to go for it. I'm just going to give it everything I have. And then I imagined 10 days into the future, and like I was looking back and I go, what do I need to decide today before it starts tomorrow? These 10 days start tomorrow. What do I have to decide today? And there were two things that came up for me. I thought, number one, I have to commit to maintaining unwavering faith that I can reach the goal, because I've done this enough times to know that I'm probably going to encounter obstacles and roadblocks, and I'm going to have self-doubt when I do. Yeah. So when the faith wavers, then the effort goes out the window. You're like, well, what's the point of trying? I'm not even going to achieve it. I'll just go back to the old me, right? That's what we do. So I go, okay, first decision is I've got to maintain unwavering faith until the last possible moment of this goal, whether I'm on track or not, even if I'm nowhere near it. I just got to go for it. And the second decision is extraordinary effort. I've got to give it everything I have, even if I don't feel like it, even if I'm tired, even if I'm not motivated. That's what makes the effort extraordinary. It's like I've got to do the things that I know will get me to the goal every day, even if I don't want to or don't feel like it, right? And in doing so, you overcome the limitation where you're like, whoa, yesterday I didn't feel motivated, but I did the thing anyway. And now I know that I can do it even if I don't feel like it. That's one of the most powerful, attributes of a human being is like, I can do what I need to do when I need to do it, whether I feel like it or not. That's amazing. So those
Mm.
are the two decisions: unwavering faith and extraordinary effort. And of course, the book goes deep and into those, because it's easy to say it, but like, how do you maintain unwavering faith? So I give you written statements, I give you all sorts of things to program that faith into your mindset. But those are the two decisions. And the last thing I'll say, Tony, is if you or I, if we study the world's most successful people in any walk of life, I like to think of professional athletes, like the greatest athletes in the world that have discipline and they work hard and they give it everything they have until the final buzzer of the game, right? They make those two decisions. They
Mhm.
maintain unwavering faith that they can make every shot they take, no matter how many shots they miss. We can do the same in our own life, in our personal life, in our professional life. And the world's most successful people put forth extraordinary effort, that second decision, whether they feel like it or not. And it's those two decisions that feed each other. When you maintain faith in your ability to achieve your goal, that fuels your desire to put forth the effort. And when you put forth the effort, you fuel your faith because you see that you're doing the things that are necessary to achieve your goals.
Yeah, so they fuel each other.
Yeah, they
Amazing.
fuel each other. It's
Yeah.
this beautiful faith and effort loop.
Mm. Two things I'd like to pick up on just what you just from what you just said, Hal. So firstly, you talk about well, the extraordinary effort. Like in the book, you do say that it's not necessarily about hard work. So it's not like about a 10-hour work day every day
Yeah.
necessarily. It's more about consistency.
Yeah, that's actually, to me, what makes the effort extraordinary is that most people, they're not consistent over an extended period of time, right?
Uh-huh.
Most of us, you think about it, setting a goal, and now is a perfect time of year, right? It's like January, I'm going to set the goals. And there's all these studies that show, like, if you go to the gym where you work out, the first week of January, it's packed, the parking lot, you can't find a spot because everybody's got their New Year's resolutions. But
Yeah.
their effort tapers off as their emotions taper off. I'm not excited anymore. I'm over it. I'm not losing weight as fast as I want. And so their effort is ordinary. It tapers off. What makes effort extraordinary is that you sustain it over an extended period of time. When I was
Hmm.
in Cutco, I just had to make 20 phone calls a day to prospects, 5 days a week for 52 weeks. And if I did that, I was going to achieve my goals. The averages would work out. Some days I would do better than others, but as long as I maintain that effort consistently over an extended period of time, that's what made the effort extraordinary. Doing it whether or not I felt like it for as long
Yeah.
as it took to achieve the goal.
Sure. And something else you mentioned was about the idea of obstacles being inner obstacles. Sometimes, or quite often, it's about, like, I think you've just referenced it there, like the emotions or that
Yeah.
the self-doubt or the negative self-talk, isn't it? It's not just obstacles that come at you. It can be quite often obstacles you put on yourself.
And it's more that, because think about it. I'm so glad you said that, because let's just take two different people, right? Person number one and person number two, and they both set the same goal, right? They both are working towards a goal, and they're going and they encounter obstacles. And person number one keeps going, and
Mm.
person number two, maybe they don't go as hard. And then after they encounter two or three obstacles, person number two is done. They gave up. It was too hard. They doubted themselves. Person number one keeps on going,
Mm.
right? So what separates them isn't talent, it isn't ability, it isn't skill, it isn't even experience. They both maybe started at scratch. But person number two kept on going. They maintained faith that if they kept on going and they put forth effort consistently over an extended period of time, despite the obstacles, that eventually they're going to get to their goal. It's the person that gives into their internal self doubt, limiting beliefs, the internal obstacles. That is literally the most important difference.
Hmm. And I feel like, well, you talk about it in the book, but the Miracle Morning system is built to help us counteract those thoughts.
Yeah.
And
Well,
that
and here's the way to frame it. So the Miracle Morning is the book that I'm best known for. That's the U.S. version. I don't know what the UK version looks like, but the Miracle Morning, it came before the miracle. Oh, there it is. Thank you. There, beautiful. I love that cover actually. It's funny. Sometimes I see foreign covers and I go, "Ooh, I like that one better than the US one." Oh, somebody asked, should I read Miracle Morning first, Allison? You can really go in either order. Yeah, and here's the way I would explain it. The Miracle Morning is a daily practice for personal development. So you do it every day and it enables you to learn, grow, evolve, develop the knowledge, the skills, the discipline, the habits through that morning practice every day. And basically, it enables you to show up at your best every single day. So it's your daily practice for personal development so you can become the person that you need to be to achieve your goals. The miracle equation is your daily process for
Mm.
goal achievement. So you want your practice for personal development so that you can show up at your best, but you need a process for goal achievement so that you can actually apply the person you're becoming to all of your goals. And there are far too many, I say this in the miracle equation, that there are a lot of what I call personal development junkies, where people are like, I just read, they read a book and they're like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. I'm learning so much. I'm growing, I'm evolving. And they don't implement what they're learning. And then they
Yeah.
finish the book and they're like, wow, that was amazing. And they put the book back on the shelf. And then they pick up their next book and now they read that. And they're tricking themselves into thinking that learning is actually making progress. It is not.
Hmm.
Learning is an important part of you gaining the ability to make progress, but then you got to go take what you learned and put it in practice. And that is where the miracle equation comes into play. So to me, they're both two sides of the same coin. Like Miracle Morning is develop yourself, grow, evolve, put yourself in a peak state every day. Miracle equation is now take that growth and get your
Yeah.
butt to work, go take action, overcome the obstacles, keep going. So anyway, so the answer to the question is you could read them in any order and it would not hurt to read Miracle Morning first and then read Miracle Equation for sure. I mean, but you can't go wrong. I would definitely read them both, but either
Yeah.
order is okay.
And also the bonus episode in this one about how to use the Miracle Morning system to supercharge
Yes.
to supercharge the equation. I think we're going to read that early on, I think, in the club because I
That's a
think
great point.
it's a
Yeah,
good
you really could start there. Yeah, start at
yeah.
the end and then go back and read the book. That's a great point. Yeah.
We're going to do that this week. And I hope everybody's listening to Hal there when he talks about like learning is not the same as to doing. So that's I mean that Hal, that's what we do try and do here. So it's like one book over 2 months or 6 weeks. So it's kind of
Yeah.
gives us time to learn and process and then action and then tell each other whether we've done it or not. So yeah, hopefully we are going to be taking lots of lovely action. And
I
also
love it.
in the miracle equation, you do talk about a process called the MAP process. Will you talk to us a little bit about that? Because I think that's really good when we're looking at kind of what our top goal might be for people who are on this
Yeah.
call tonight, thinking, okay, I'm going to choose one and go for it.
Yeah, and this is a great way to tie in what we've already talked about, right? So the M in MAP stands for mission, right? We talked about your mission is that number one goal that you decide. And it's hard to pick. I know you're like, they're all important. You have to pick one. And you're not just picking it because you're saying, like, for example, let's say it's a financial goal. That doesn't mean that money's more important than your family. That's not what it means. It means that you've decided that this goal, number one, it's going to enable you to develop the qualities that you need to achieve your other goals because it's a challenging goal, right? It's going to take your focus and your discipline and your effort and your consistency. So choose your mission. And then the A is for affirmations. And affirmations, the way that I teach them in the book, and it comes from the Miracle Morning, that's where I originally taught affirmations. They're different than like the kind of the goofy ones where you say like, I'm a money magnet and money flows to me effortlessly, right? I believe in practicality. And so the affirmations formula that I teach is affirm what you're committed to, which would be your mission in this case. Affirm why it's important to you. Who is it benefiting? Your family, yourself? What are the reasons that it's so important that you're willing to do the things, take that effort, even when you're not motivated? Because you're like, it doesn't matter, I feel like it. It's so important to me. So the affirmations formula reminds you of what you're committed to, why it's important. And then the third part of the affirmations is which actions are you going to take and when are you going to take them? And that leads to the P in the MAP acronym, which is process. And think of it this way. every goal that you have in your life is preceded by a process, a set of actions that are required to achieve that goal. I mentioned earlier, my process when I was in sales was to make 20 phone calls per day,
Yeah.
5 days per week. And I had calculated, I started by going, what's my sales goal for the year? Divide that by my average order size. So, how many appointments do I need to schedule to get that many sales? Then it was, how many calls does it take for me to schedule an appointment? So, I did some math here. And then I went, oh, I have to make 20 calls a day, 5 days a week, or 100 calls a week. If I do that, then the average number of appointments I schedule, the average number of people that buy from me, and the average amount that they buy, that will all lead to my goal for the year. It was
Mm-hmm.
really amazing. So many of us, when we set goals, we are emotionally attached to the results. Like maybe for me, if I made 20 phone, before I learned this process, I'd make 20 calls. And let's say nobody answered the phone except for 3 people, and they were all rude, and they said, don't ever call here again. We don't like salespeople. And they hung up on me. That would affect me emotionally. I was so emotionally attached to my results that I would go, why would they be so mean to me? I'm a nice person. And then when I realized, wait a minute, why am I emotionally attached to my results? This is a waste of my energy. I just have to make the 20 calls a day, and
Mm-hmm.
everything else will average itself out. Now, when someone hung up on me, I was like, sweet, that's the fastest call I can make. Who cares? I'm not worried about my individual results because I'm playing a long game. I'm in it for the entire year. And I understand it's called the law, if you're not familiar, the law of averages, right? Which is, you can look at anything that you're doing. Like baseball players have a batting average. They know that out of every 100 times they go to bat, on average, they're going to hit the ball, let's say 40 times, and 60 times they're not going to hit it. I know
Yeah.
that if I make 100 calls, I'm going to talk to 12 people, and 8 of them are going to schedule an appointment. So this is the idea. You get clear on your mission. You support it by reading affirmations every day that remind you of your commitment and remind you why it's important. And then you commit to your process each day without being emotionally attached to your results. And if that felt like a lot, it's all broken down, of course, in the book for you.
No, I love that idea of the taking the long-term goals very seriously, but in the day to day, like you say, just moving on. If it
Yeah.
doesn't work, move on. If it doesn't work, move on.
Yeah, that's
Um,
true.
do you think there's like, would you call it manifestation ever, this? Because it does feel very similar to me, the idea of like the kind of getting clear on what you want, having the faith it will come to you and then taking action towards it.
Yeah, I have a conflicted relationship with manifesting.
Yeah.
I've definitely had things that magically manifested in my life, or so it felt. And I'm like, how did that happen? But a lot of things I also worked really, really hard. And I'll give you an example. I don't think you can manifest a physically fit body. I think you actually have to do the work,
Mhm.
right? Like, I think you actually have to exercise. I don't think you can just go, every morning I manifest a 6-pack abs while I eat donuts. I don't think it works that way. And that's actually what I love about the miracle equation is the unwavering faith piece. That is the manifesting piece. And the extraordinary effort piece is like, but you got to actually do the work to earn it. You don't just get things handed to you. And if you look at it from a spiritual perspective, I believe that God, right? I believe miracles are often co-created with God, right? So it's like, it's like yes, you maintain faith, and these amazing things can happen in your life, but very often it's through the effort that you're putting yourself in a position to attract the right people, to make the right connections, to create the right opportunities and achieve the results that you want in your life. So it's a yes and. So yes, the manifesting is the unwavering faith part, but you got to put forth the effort to actually earn the miracles that you're working towards.
Brilliant. Thank you for that.
Yeah.
Love the answer. So we've just got a few more minutes left with you. Jackie has asked a question about SMART goals. Do you use that? Do you use SMART like to sit when you're setting your goals?
Yeah. So I actually made up my own acronym, Miracle, but none of it not none of it matters. Pick a system and go with it, right? So I love SMART goals. I mean, and the reason SMART goals have been around for, I think, decades, it works. They stood the test of time, right? Specific, measurable, actionable, realistic, time bound, and I forgot the final. No, and that's it. There it is.
Yeah.
Right. So that's a great acronym for setting goals. And then she mentioned the grow. I'm not familiar with that one. So yeah, I think SMART goals works great.
Okay, then before we say goodbye, Hal, I want to talk to you about the Miracle Morning app, if that's not too confusing.
Yeah.
Just because I know some of the guys on here have been using it. I used it, you know what? I used it last year, early in the year, and then I fell off the wagon. So talk to me about it, and I'll come
Yeah.
back.
The Miracle Morning app is the number one most requested resource that we've ever had for the last, 15 years. And a few years ago, we finally made it. And then we have a team of developers that every month we're making it better and better and better. And we're listening to requests. So it has 4.9 out of 5 stars in the App Store. I recommend it. You can download and use the free version, and then you can do like the premium version. But the beauty of it is it does align with the miracle equation in terms of it has all the miracle morning practices. It also has miracle morning track or miracle equation tracks in there, guided tracks, and it allows you to journal, set goals, all the things. So it really does facilitate your miracle morning and help you be more consistent and apply it to your miracle equation.
Amazing. And like you said, like choose a system and go with it. And I
Yeah.
think like that all this information is out there, right? And what you do so brilliant is like you package it for us. So it's like we can just not just we can follow these 2 steps and
Yeah.
this is a guided way to develop ourselves. So yes, brilliant. Thank you for that. I think David shared the link. Thank you so much. Okay, Hal, I will let you go because it's now 8:40 my time, I think, 7:40
Yeah.
everyone in the UK. Thank you so much for your time tonight. We're
You're
excited to
so
read the
welcome.
book.
Tony, David, everybody, thank you so much for having me. And oh, thanks, Richard. Love you too, brother. I'm gonna keep writing books. You guys will keep having me come back.
100%. Yeah, I wonder what we'll be reading this time next year. I'm excited to see. So we'll
Awesome.
say goodbye to Hal. Anybody who wants to stay on the call with me, stay on if you like, and we can chat about goals. So bye, Hal. Have a good
Bye,
day.
Tony. Bye, everybody.
Okay, everybody.